It's been just about a week since I first met with Billy Long, who at that point had been going without Frontier internet and phone service for just over 3 weeks. On Monday, I learned from Frontier service had been restored. But when I hadn't heard from Billy, I came back to the area and learned the issue had just gotten more complicated. For more than 3 weeks, this is all Billy Long would get when trying to make calls from her home in Meigs County, Ohio.
Just nothing. No dial tone, no nothing.
And when she tried to use her internet,
this site can't be reached.
Frustrated, she made the 3-mile drive from her home to be able to use her cell and called WSAZ. She told us the problem started when dust control work led to broken lines. So I reached out to Frontier, asking questions about the outage and how soon the situation could be resolved. A spokesperson said they were waiting for details and would get us the information. The next day, I followed up, but got no response. Monday, I followed up again and was told the problem was fixed Thursday night after our investigation aired. So I tried reaching out to Billy to confirm everything was back on. But after a few days went by and Billy hadn't answered my calls, I went back out to the area yesterday. But what I found was a mess.
So this is from Friday.
Billy says crews did come out the day after our investigation aired. She even took this video and was hopeful when she saw the broken poles were replaced. But her phone and internet, still not working.
What did you think when you first saw the crews?
It took WSAZ to get you here, and now we're finally going to have a phone. But we didn't get a phone.
Turns out Billy's services had been restored, but to her aunt's house next door. After seeing the situation, I reached out to Frontier again, explaining what I saw.
Her aunt and uncle who live next door, who are also Frontier customers, have her service now.
The company spokesperson asked me to send them all the information I had, so I did. And about 20 minutes later, the spokesperson sent me a message, reading, quote, "Our tech is on the way if he is not already out there." So I went back out and found, sure enough, techs working on the lines. And while updating Billy on what I heard from the company...
Hey, it's back. What? It's back.
It's back?
Yeah. I actually have a dial tone. It's amazing.
You could try calling me if you want, but...
It probably ain't gonna go through, but we'll try.
Okay, 304?
I can actually place a call. Yeah.
And there it is on my phone.
I really appreciate you. You have no idea. It's just a shame that we had to go to WSAZ to begin with, when they could have fixed the problem before now.
A Frontier spokesperson told me the company is still trying to figure out how communications got mixed up in the neighborhood. I'll bring you those updates as soon as I get them. Kimberly Donahue, WSAZ, News Channel 3, Meigs County.
In Cabell County have been forced to avoid a steep slip in an area that was initially repaired 2 years ago, but has now fallen away right near that same spot. One neighbor told us when he reached out to the Division of Highways, he was told utility companies first had to move their poles and lines to make room for new work on the slip. News Channel 3's Kimberly Donahue took a drive out to the area to see the road firsthand and speak with drivers and the state about when they'll see round 2 of repairs.
Each day, drivers along Madison Creek Road in Cabell County carefully navigate around a steep slip. And oftentimes, they'll find their neighbor, Daryl Ross, help guiding them past it.
It's awful. It's rough. We have school buses coming through here. I think there's either 4 or 5 school buses coming through here every day of the week.
Daryl says the road was even worse 2 years ago. The West Virginia Division of Highways says that initial slip was caused by a steep slope combined with runoff and repaired with a 125-foot piling wall. Daryl says the fix did not last long.
It just seemed like it wasn't a month after they fixed this started, which it just kept breaking off.
Just off the road and into the slip is rock, litter, and traffic cones that have toppled off the road. Daryl says he was told by the Division of Highways the slip could not be repaired until utilities moved their lines. Increasingly worried, he reached out to WSAZ.
I watch WSAZ, and I've seen a lot of you guys help people get things fixed. And if it wasn't for you guys, a lot of these people that live on these off-roads like this would never get nothing done.
So I reached out to the Division of Highways, asking why the road slipped again, why power lines needed to be used to fix the slip, and if there were any plans in place to fix the slip or create an alternate route. A spokesperson told me additional slippage occurred on the steep embankment, which was temporarily repaired with rock until the permanent repair is complete. The project requires movement of the utility because we cannot disrupt service to citizens by damaging those utilities. Permanent repairs will be made when the utility company completes relocation. I followed up asking if the agency spoke with the utility company to find out the status of the relocation. The spokesperson told me they had spoken with the utility and the approximate time frame for their relocation is 4 to 6 weeks. Our design engineers are working on the project and will provide any additional site information they need.
It makes me feel some better. At least they're going to try to do something, hopefully. We'll just have to wait and see. If it don't, I'm going to call you again.
As fall rolls into winter, Daryl says he's worried about the rocks getting more loose and the slip getting worse. He says he just wants to see something change before someone or multiple people get seriously hurt.
Just think the school buses with those kids on it. If they come through here and this would happen to break off, because the buses are heavy, school buses are heavy. If that happened to break off, why, they just roll right over the bank.
Kimberly Donahue, WSAZ, News Channel 3, Cabell County.
Hey, Sarah, for years, neighbors on the south side say they've been forced to look at overflowing dumpsters. So I reached out to Rumpke Waste and Recycling, the company that owns the dumpsters. And a spokesperson told me they're in the process of trying to find some longer-term solutions. And tonight, neighbors say they can already see our efforts making a difference.
For the last decade, Robert Lockhart's called Huntington's South Side home, enjoying the variety of life.
You kind of get a little mix of traffic, but for the most part quiet. You got a good mix between younger people and older people. A lot of rentals, and then there's also a lot of people that have been here their whole lives.
But he says there has been one problem piling up in his neighborhood: trash overflowing from this Rumpke dumpster in the alleyway behind his home.
The biggest problem is you'll have a lot of the homeless that'll get into the dumpsters and start pulling stuff out, and then a lot of them won't put it back into the dumpster, and they'll tear up in bags. The wind will come through and blow the trash everywhere, so it gets in the yard and the driveway and all across the street and everywhere, scattered everywhere. So occasionally you ought to come out here and pick up all the trash, and occasionally needles and such.
A similar situation just up the street from Robert. A neighbor taking these photos last Tuesday. By Wednesday, the trash from that dumpster had been collected, but the pile near Robert's house still stacking up. In spite of his own efforts to keep the area clean, sometimes he's been blamed for the mess.
I've actually been notified from the city that I needed to clean up trash on my property because they thought it was me putting the trash out there, and it was actually just trash from the dumpster coming over.
What did you do when that happened?
I just go up there and clean it up. Clean up somebody else's garbage. It can be frustrating at times, especially when there's a lot of it, but I mean, after a while, you just kind of get used to it, and it's just kind of the way it is anymore.
So I started calling Rumpke to get some answers.
Thank you for calling Rumpke Waste and Recycling.
I'm calling about a stretch of Rumpke dumpsters.
When I didn't get a call back, I emailed the company some questions, including who is responsible for collecting and disposing the garbage for Rumpke-owned properties in Huntington? How often is the trash supposed to be collected? Are there any security measures on Rumpke dumpsters to prevent public dumping, like locks and keys for property tenants? And what are the steps to creating a permanent solution? By Thursday morning, the trash at the dumpster near Robert's home had been picked up. And a company spokesperson responded to my email from Wednesday, saying in part, quote, I can share that we had Rumpke staff go out and personally inspect the areas in question. And As you indicated, the containers have been attended to. Additionally, our operators are instructed to pick up material near our containers, even if it is not generally part of the collection. Rumpke has had a great working relationship with the City of Huntington. We work together to address any issues that may arise quickly and effectively, and we take steps to ensure we are putting into place longer-term solutions to mitigate any future problems. We service our containers on a weekly basis. Our operators and route managers have been informed of the concerns in this area and will be paying extra attention to ensure that the proper quality service is provided on an ongoing basis. I also met up with the City of Huntington's Public Works Director, Mark Bates, on Thursday to find out the city's role in managing the problem and to see if he was aware of the issue on 10th Avenue.
Walk me through what exactly happened.
I received a call from our contact at Rumpke last night saying that he had been contacted by WSAZ about some dumpster issues over in the south side, and I basically live about 4 or 5 blocks away, and I had already changed clothes, but I jumped in the city car in my t-shirt and my shorts and my flip-flops and drove over to check the situation out. And so, I just rolled up on the situation, gave him the dumpster ID numbers, and suggested maybe, that they needed locks. Now, they may have already provided a lock to the clients, but the city does require that commercial hauler dumpsters be locked at all times.
After speaking with the city and learning more about plans from Rumpke to fix the problem, I met back up with Robert to share the news.
I was able to get in contact with the company myself, and I figured if you just want to read the last paragraph of this response, if you can read that. And
We service our containers on a weekly basis. Our operators and route managers have been informed of the concerns in the area and will be paying extra attention to ensure proper and quality service is provided on an ongoing basis. Oh, that's good. Kind of figured they'd just assume it wasn't their responsibility.
So how do you feel now that there's going to be some extra patrolling of the dumpsters?
Oh, that'd be great. I didn't really think that they do a whole lot about it, and especially if they are planning on putting locks or anything on it.
Robert and his neighbors now hoping they no longer have to waste their time picking up trash.
I appreciate you coming down here and actually bringing light to this. It seems like you're making some good change here.
Mark Bates told me this morning he started to see trash piling up again around the dumpsters. So he reached out to Rumpke to get an update on the lock situation. Tonight, I can show you the Rumpke dumpsters are now locked. And I reached out to the company this morning for some updates, and a spokesperson told me the dumpsters were emptied earlier today as part of their post-holiday cleanup service, and they'll continue to monitor the area for any other potential issues. Taylor?
All right, Kimberly, thank you. And